Welcome everyone to this live. My name is Tarkisho, author of Ready for Marriage. So today we want to discuss a very popular topic right now. It's a topic about marriage, and the question we are answering is that is marriage scam? Is marriage scam? So what's your opinion? So if you have a thought on that, please feel free to share your thoughts with us. And remember, this is from a Christian perspective. So we are discussing all this in the perspective as Christians. So, as we give our contributions and questions, let's remember that this is on a Christian perspective. So, let me begin by saying that welcoming everyone. This question that we are tackling today is a question that is increasingly being asked uh, whether marriage is scam or not. What's your opinion? Can you type in the comments what your thoughts are on marriage itself? Is marriage a scam? Yeah. Is marriage a scam? I would want to begin by saying that in modern culture, many are starting to question whether marriage is still relevant. Some are calling it an outdated institution. Yeah. A Pew Research study even found that 40% of Americans now believe marriage is obsolete. And when something begins with America, probably it will spread to the rest of the world very fast. The world has become a global village, and if something starts in the developed world, it would very easily spread to other parts of the world, especially those who are developing countries. When a culture starts like that, it mostly goes from the Western cultures and it spreads all over the world. If it starts in America, it could go worldwide. Yeah, so if 40% of Americans now believe that marriage is obsolete and the divorce rates are high and stories of broken families are all around us, probably yourself know about a broken family. Probably your family could be broken, never know. But it's so widespread. The families are breaking upside and down. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or not. It's even prevalent among Christians themselves. So if even Christian marriages are breaking up, which one is spared? Uh, Nobody is spared in this. So it's something that's widespread among Christians themselves and even those who are not Christians. So it's upon us to see how do you want to take it out? What do you want to continue with the institution of marriage? And this is from the Christian perspective. Feel free to ask questions. If you want to ask any question, feel free to do that, and you'll be welcome. So, but from a Christian perspective, you know that marriage is more than a contract or a legal arrangement. Many are seeing marriage today like just another contract or just like another legal agreement, even among Christians. And this is something that you try out. And when you are not satisfied, then you can break it at any time that you may want. Is that really true? Yeah. So marriage is a covenant designed by God, according to us Christians, a reflection of his relationship with the church. So in this session, we will explore the biblical foundation to marriage and its purpose, and why, despite modern skepticism, it remains a divine institution. Yeah. Let's look at some historical perspective uh, in marriage, some historical context of marriage. To understand the depth and meaning of marriage, we need to look back at its biblical roots. Yeah. Marriage was not created by humans, it was ordained by God Himself. It was ordained by God Himself. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, the Bible tells us that that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Yeah. So from the very beginning, marriage was intended to bring unity between man and woman. Later on in the New Testament, Jesus reaffirmed the sanctity of marriage. In Matthew chapter 19, verse 4 to 6, it says, haven't you heard that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female and said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Therefore, what man has joined together, let no one separate. Paul also speaks about this elaborately on the spiritual aspect of marriage in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 to 23, where he compares marriage to Christ's relationship with the church. So marriage here is compared to Christ's relationship with the church. So that means for Christians, this should be very relevant. So marriage then is more than just a legal or social contract. It is a spiritual bond that reflects God's covenant love. Yeah. So what's the purpose of marriage in Christianity? So if marriage is more than just a societal norm, what is its purpose in the Christian life? The Bible outlines several reasons for marriage. Number one is for companionship and support. And this we get in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, which says, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. So marriage provides emotional and spiritual companionship. Yeah. It allows for mutual support in life's challenges. Yeah. Whichever life you are living, whether it's a life that we see like it's a viable life, you like the living, you like the life that you have. Life will have challenges, and when you have a partner who can help you go through those challenges, it makes it better. So marriage is supposed to help us get this companionship and support. We can never be 100% independent. However independent we are, there's a time when we need some companionship and support. I was in some discussions with some anti-marriage forum, and they were saying that marriage uh, is a scam. Marriage is a waste of time. I can instead of having a partner, I can have a dog. Surprisingly, uh, the same discussion there, they were saying that, oh, for sex, if you want to have sex, then you can just get it from anywhere with no commitment. Uh, then I asked them, if you have your dog instead of a partner or a wife or a husband, mm, what level would you reach with that? And I welcome questions. I don't know if you already have any question. No questions yet. So they were insisting that it's not a must. I can have a dog and not have a wife. Yes, there will be the dogs will be, and in many families it's like become part of the family, but they cannot replace humans. They cannot replace a wife. They cannot replace a husband in their overall aspect. In some aspects, yes, but not fully. So, marriage, according to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, is for companionship and support. Yeah. The second reason, biblical reason for, especially in Christianity, for marriage is for procreation and raising children. So, God's command to Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 was that to be fruitful and multiply. Through marriage, children can be raised in a stable, loving environment where they learn godly principles. So, yes, it's possible to get children out of marriage, but if you want a stable, loving environment where the children can be brought to be loving in godly principles, then the institution that will let that be possible is through marriage. The second thing for marriage is spiritual growth and sanctification. Yeah. So marriage is often where we experience personal growth and sanctification. It challenges us to be selfless as we look at our partner greater than us, to be patient with our partners, and to be forgiving, reflecting Christ-like love. So practicing these virtues in the marriage environment is very important, and it shapes our Christianity, it shapes our spiritual growth, and it challenges us to be selfless, patient, forgiving, and that reflects God's character. Yeah. So that's why marriage is important. It's also uh, a reflection of Christ's relationship with the church. In Ephesians chapter 5, Paul says that husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave uh, himself up for her. So marriage is designed to be a living example of God's sacrificial love. Let's look at some of the common arguments for marriage as a scam. These are some of the reasons why people. It's common for people to say that marriage is a scam. Yeah, financial burdens. Some argue that marriage leads to financial stress, and statistics show that financial issues are one of the leading causes of divorce. Between the costs of weddings, combining finances, and dealing with debts, marriage can be financially challenging. I want us to look at these common arguments. Then we look at the counter arguments from the Christian perspectives that negates uh, these anti-marriage or the proponents of marriage as a scam. So financial burdens. Yes, it's true. Sometimes some could argue that marriage leads to financial stress, and statistics show that financial issues are one of the leading causes of divorce. So if not handled well, financial matters can often lead to divorce. Between the costs of weddings, combining finances, and dealing with debts, marriage can be financially challenging. Yeah. So the second thing that the proponents of marriage being a scam is loss of individual freedom. So others say that marriage limits personal freedom. Instead of living for oneself, you now have to consider your spouse in every major decision, from career moves to where you live. Some do not want to lose that independence, but as we will learn later on, it is important to make a balance in terms of financial burdens. It's important to make this understanding as early as possible, much early as possible, so that you can have mm, an agreement on the way forward. You could fuse your your differing opinions and merge them together so that you can have a common way forward. So even loss of individual freedom, I believe marriage should not make you to lose your individual freedom. Yeah, it's not a must. You can also have your individual freedom depending on the partner that you will get. So proponents, the third argument they have given is that high divorce rates and broken families. That with divorce rates hovering around 40 to 50%, many wonder if marriage is even worth the risk. Why commit when there is such a high chance it could end up in a heartbreak? Yeah. So that's one of the counter arguments on divorce and marriage. Yeah. The fourth counter argument of whether marriage is societal pressure to marry. Some people feel pressured into marriage by family, friends, or cultural norms. They argue that marriage is not a choice they made for themselves, but something society imposed on them. Yeah, that it's the societal pressure that makes people to marry. So it's not their choice, but it's rather the society that has forced them to get into marriage. It's not their personal opinion. Yeah. But again, why should you be forced? When before I got married, I remember, of course, the society. I remember one time when I attended gathering, and a lady was asking me, "How is your family doing?" By that time, I didn't even have a family yet, and they are asking you, uh, "How is your family doing?" And yet you don't even have a family. So it's a little bit ridiculous, you see. And that argument can be real, but again, I do not think that you should make a decision based on that pressure. The decision to get married should be personal. It should be a personal decision that you have made that you want to get married rather than being forced by the society to do so. So you've had those counter arguments, which sometimes they may, on the outer side, even convince you as a Christian who plans to get married to think about joining the marriage is a scam song. Financial burdens, loss of individual freedom, and high divorce rates and broken families, and societal pressure to marry. So, what are the Christian counter arguments against this? While these concerns are valid, yes, they are valid, many a times, but they don't take into account the deeper spiritual aspects of marriage as a covenant. Yeah. So let's look at some Christian and counter arguments to the idea that marriage is a scam. Number one is that marriage is a covenant, not a contract. So in the Christian faith, marriage is not a temporary agreement, but a lifelong covenant. In Malachi chapter 2, verse 14, God calls marriage a covenant before him. Unlike contracts that are made to be broken, that could be broken, covenants are meant to be enduring. They are meant to last. So as Christians, we look at marriage as not as a covenant, but not as a covenant, but not as a contract. So when you get into marriage from the Christian perspective, in the Christian way, you look at it as a covenant. That's why Christian marriages, the divorce rates in Christian marriages, as much as they increase, but it's much less than marriages which are not Christian, because Christians should look at marriage uh, as a covenant and not a contract. Yeah. The second counter argument that Christians should have is that the benefits of committed relationships. So rather than just have an encounter, why not have a committed relationship? Research shows that committed marriages often lead to better mental, emotional, and physical health. Studies also indicate that married couples tend to be more financially secure over time. There could be challenges at the beginning, but if you're a committed relationship whereby you agree that despite the challenges, despite the difficulties that you'll be meeting, you are in it for the long run, and then you make plans knowing that this is a lasting thing, this is a covenant thing. At the end of it all, at the end of it all, for committed relationships, it will lead to mostly uh, more mental health will be better, emotionally and physically you'll also be better over time, especially if you're in a committed relationship rather than just a short stint. Yeah, these are research uh, confirmations. The third thing that Christians look at is biblical examples of successful marriages. There are countless examples of in the Bible of marriages that stood the test of time despite the hardships. The marriage, think of Abraham and Sarah, Ruth and Boaz. Yeah. While they could not be perfect, just like even current Christian marriages are not perfect, these relationships thrive because they were rooted in faith and commitment. So even in the current world, I believe for committed Christians who are committed in their marriages, who know that they are in it as a covenant in the long haul, they become more successful despite the hardships that they might influence. They look at larger objective, the real reason why they're getting into that covenant. The fourth thing is the role of faith and community in supporting marriages. The Bible calls for the Christian community to support marriages from the churches, the friends, fellow Christians. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 12, it says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. If you have a people that are supporting you in your church, yeah, in your family of Christians, among your Christian friends, within the family itself, then that support will lead to success. Yeah. So with God as the third strand, couples can overcome challenges. When we have God with us, then now it means both couples, whenever you face challenges, you have some third party who is not a human being, who is your creator, who is the one who helps you to make that covenant, whom you made that covenant in his presence, and who is willing to help you keep that covenant, who will always keep his side of the covenant to let that marriage be successful. Yeah. So you have a third party who will be helping you. So you're not alone if both of you are Christians. Do not be yoked with unbelievers. And then now with the third party with God is the third strand that will make us stronger. Yeah. So we have a supporting party who will not let us go through. Yeah. What are some of the challenges in modern marriages? So modern marriage faces unique challenges that did not exist in biblical times. So let's look at a few. Changing societal norms. The definition of marriage has evolved with shifting gender roles, not like the traditional ones. There is often confusion about what a Christian marriage should look like. Yeah. So they are changing societal norms and their perspectives on marriage. That's why it's bringing this challenge. The second thing is impact of technology and social media. With the rise of social media, couples can now have to deal with issues like emotional infidelity, compassion, and distractions. You sit in your bedroom, you sit in your sitting room, but you can interact with people who are miles and miles away. In the social media, they show you the best part of them. You look at them and you see like these couples are really enjoying themselves. Why am I isolated here? I'm not getting the best things that this person is getting. This lady is going for shopping everywhere. This man is getting all the cars. Why is my partner not living like this? So there's that comparison challenge. And with social media bringing in the comparison bits, you are likely to compare your partner with the ones that you are seeing on social media. And let me tell you one thing: those comparisons, sometimes you could be comparing yourself to some fake lifestyle that somebody's living. Yeah. Remember, most people do not show you in social media the worst, uh, the worst of their life. They're showing the best, the travels, the shoppings, the good life, the love. But behind the curtains, there could be something else that they're not showing you. Yeah. So before you make that comparison, before you get swayed away by that distraction, be careful and know that sometimes what you're comparing yourself with could be fake. The other thing that's facing current relationships and marriages is balancing career and family life. So many couples struggle to find a balance between their professional ambitions and commitments and family life. How do you balance your work with your family life? How much family time do you need to give? Yeah. And the challenge becomes, for example, when there are financial challenges, you have to work to take care of the family. So when you overwork, you feel like you want to look for more finances to take care of the family. So even your professional ambitions and finances could take a toll on your family. So we need to find a balance. We need to find a balance between uh, family and your professional ambitions. So in the current world glorifies hustle culture, I'm hustling, So you go to work, you work many jobs, and the hustle culture is interfering with the family. It can be hard to prioritize your marriage. And that shifts the marriage perspective to another level where people marry late because we are still pursuing our professions. So that has changed a lot of things. So we need to address misconceptions about Christian marriage. There are so many misconceptions about Christian marriage. Many people outside of faith, and even some Christians who are not committed, have misconceptions about Christian marriage. Some see it as overly patriarchal or restrictive. They're restricting some freedom in them. But in reality, Christian marriage calls for mutual respect, love, and submission to God. Yeah. And one of the things is that even among Christians themselves, you have not been taught, like, yes, it's now time to get married. But what do you need to know before you get married? Yeah. What do you need to know? How do you find the right person? How do you know you found the right person? What are you supposed to do in the dating process? Yeah. What are you supposed to look for? What are you supposed to build? Yeah. What are you supposed to build? And that's the reason I came up with the book, this book of mine, ready, ready for marriage. This book here. This book, Ready for Marriage, talks about ready for marriage, assessing finances, maturity, and life mission before saying I do. I came to with it up with it as a solution, and I believe uh, it was through God's guidance that I came up with this book. I realized that people have different perspectives on Christian marriages, misconceptions, and even Christians themselves. You get into a marriage, you don't even know what to do. What am I supposed to be looking into? This book's look has 25 chapters, and all these 25 chapters they look into different aspects of marriage. You can get it on Amazon. It just came out recently. We have a 5-star review on it. I will leave a link on where you can get it, on my website in search. It will help you to avoid those misconceptions and talk about those misconceptions. Ready for marriage. I suggest if you're not married or if you're in the early stages of your relationship, it's important to get prepared or to rectify some areas which you are not prepared if you're already in marriage, but having some questions. It talks about so many things that you can use. But today it's not. I was not promoting the book, uh, so I want us to conclude on these issues. Let us first of all come up with a summary of what we were talking about so far. So we learned here in this video the purpose of marriage in Christianity: for companionship and support, and that is biblical, Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, for procreation and raising children, for spiritual growth and sanctification, and a reflection of Christ's relationship with the church. So common arguments why people say marriage is a scam are financial burdens, but must there be financial burdens? I believe with agreements, this can be solved. Loss of individual freedom. It does not mean that when we get married, we should lose our freedom. But if you don't get the right partner, this might be a reason for saying marriage is a scam. High divorce rates and broken families. As much as divorce rates could rise up to 50%, there's another 50% who is not divorced. Why do you think that your marriage should just be among the 50% that will end up to divorce? Yeah. That fear should not be there. And societal pressure to marry. So some people believe that they're just getting married because the society has pressured them to do so, while individually they are not doing it out of their will. But nobody should force you to get married. It should be out of your personal conviction. Yeah. So committed Christians say that marriages, and statistics show that Christian marriages uh, mostly outdo non-Christian marriages. And the reason for that is that they look at marriage as a covenant and not a contract. So you are in it as something that you are meant to be enduring through the difficulties, through the successes, till death do you part. Mm. There are many benefits of committed relationships, including better mental, emotional, and physical health. Yeah. There are so many biblical examples of successful marriages. Despite the challenges, they overcame those challenges to become better couples and better to when they went through better marriages. The role of faith and community in supporting. When you have Christian families supporting us, our church, our Christian friends, our Christian partner, then we have a support that will help us to overcome all the challenges. Some of the things uh, the modern marriage faces unique challenges that did not exist in biblical times. And let's take a look at a few which we looked at: what changing societal norms, the definition of marriage itself, it stays the same-sex marriage, which probably did not exist predominantly. Although even bad, but then most of these things were already there. Yeah. Uh, Impact of technology and social media, which were not there before. The communication is gone to a way that social media can bring distractions, emotional infidelity, and comparisons that may be unrealistic. Yeah. The other challenge that we have in modern marriage is balancing career and family life. How do you balance your career and family life? Yeah. There are also misconceptions about the Christian marriage. So there are those misconceptions which can be cleared. So in conclusion, while there are arguments out there claiming that marriage is a scam, from a Christian perspective, we see it as a gift from God. It is not just about love or legalities. It is about reflecting Christ's love for the church. Yes, marriage has its challenges, but when approached with faith, commitment, and community, it can be one of the most rewarding relationships in life. So I encourage each of you to study the scriptures, seek wise counsel, and keep Christ at the center of your relationship. For those who are married, I hope this session reminds you of the value of your covenant. For those considering marriage, may you approach it with wisdom and prayer. Yeah. So let's open the door for discussions. Feel free to ask questions to form part of our future discussions on this. But if you are not married and planning to get a Christian marriage, I suggest get a copy of this book. I will leave the website and where you can get the book in the comments. So, and may God bless you. There are no questions. So, since there are no questions, I'll have to end this live. Thank you for joining me in this live. And ask questions. Let's share this so that we can get this discussion going and encourage even the ones who feel like marriage is a scam.